Well, let me stop sharing my screen.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the Cryptozoa channel. Thank you for watching. We're glad you're here. Today we have a special episode. We have an AMA with Bankteller. We're going to be talking about elephant money. Last week, SK Crypto K was able to join us. SK Crypto K, gonna give you dividends. He was here and he spoke about elephant money. Now we're going to interview Bankteller himself. I hope you guys are pumped. Let's crack right in. What is up, JC, Crypto, Bankteller? How are you guys doing?
What's up, Mikey?
Pretty good.
I realized we had like almost 40 people waiting, but then I started singing the SK Crypto K theme song, and half of them dropped off. So I think there's a relationship there. Actually, embarrassingly, Mr. Bankteller, embarrassingly, I just want to mention that. So in the description, I actually accidentally put SK Crypto K, even though he's right now in a different country. And I guess I made people believe maybe he's coming on. And JC, you fixed it, but Telegram caches the description. I don't know for how long. And that happened to me before when I was doing the Baby Drip AMA, and I got the launch date wrong, so I had to recreate it. And I don't know why I just told you that. Technical errors, guys. Anything can happen when we're live. But hello, Bankteller. It is good to see you. Thank you for coming on. We're excited to have you here. Are you ready to get into some questions?
Yeah, sure. And just to start, please call me BT. Bankteller's that's the formal thing, but everyone calls me BT these days. I've been doing this a while. And what else? Yeah. Somebody did a video like not too long ago. Pretty enthusiastic member did a really awesome overview of like the whole project, including my whole background. But he called me the Bankteller. I'm like, okay, did you just see that Batman movie or something? Like, I am vengeance. No. No, just BT is fine.
Well, I could tell this is actually going to be the best AMA I've ever done. Now that you opened that way, so nefarious Bankteller, villain from Batman. So it's good to make your acquaintance. Good to talk to you. So I'd love to ask, who is, and this is just a very brief intro. If you could tell me a little bit, because I don't know you. I've seen AMAs, but I've seen that other video. Could I hear in your own words, who is BT? Who is the Bankteller? Just if you can.
Okay, so I'll peel back the mask for a second. So I'm Tony Perkins. I'm a Philly boy. I came up to my passions are longboarding. Back in the day, I used to be a chess champion, science nerd, built computers and stuff like that. Did some carpentry actually. So I actually did a sort of apprenticeship with a carpenter who made like high-end furniture for like rich people in Philly. So that was pretty awesome. Horticultural Society. Wow. That was a lot of fun. I had a crush on these two twins. They know their names, but yeah. So fun with terrariums and growing things. But anyway, I came up to MIT. Had a passion for computer science and stuff. Did AP Computer in high school, whatever. So, but I've basically been coding since I was 10. And so had a lot of fun at MIT. Learned a lot. Took my time graduating. But I was at an MIT startup called Virtual Inc. And it was like a sort of echolocation to do to transcribe whiteboards and stuff. And I was doing handwriting recognition, all this stuff. Long story short, I was making $50K, and my manager at the time, I was like, hey, I kind of need to make more money. And he was like, it's like during a like .com boom and stuff. And then he's like, well, you didn't graduate yet, so I'm like, oh, well, okay. And then I quit the next week, and then I started consulting for Net Numina. And the first thing, it was really cool because they had all these exams and stuff, and I just passed them all. And so I ended up being like a software architect, like right from the jump. So like a 21-ish years old, I was like already like, telling older people what to do. Wow. And and my first clients were State Street and Fidelity. So I did like, consulting stints for them. And then I basically branched out and, left Net Newman and started my, that was the start of my fintech career, which was like, including DeFi stuff at this point is 25 years, right? So I'm like I'm like the Michael J. Fox of DeFi. Like I sound young, but like I'm actually an old man. So
wow.
But
And you also traveled through time like Michael J. Fox.
yeah, yes. So no, but foreign exchange, built the largest institutional foreign exchange platform, FX Connect. The version that I built with like my work wife, Byung Jen. So it's still running. So that's cool. And then I took a break from there, and Fidelity called me back because my old boss, who's still the CTO of personal investing there, he said, "Hey, I got a project that needs saving," and he's like, "You'll get a CTO position." I was like, I couldn't turn that down because I was like really bitter about how long it took to get into to become like VP status and all that stuff. Right. I cared about that stuff back then, but so I joined them in FidSafe, which is like a document management service for Fidelity. And then after I completed that project, along with signing, basically helping Fidelity bring on Amazon. So like we were kind of ahead of our time or catching up in terms of getting rid of legacy data centers and moving to the cloud. Mm-hmm. And so that was awesome, and also building FidSafe was awesome. But then I eventually just started helping just various consumer-facing teams build out the personal investing and like and beyond, but helping them deliver front-end experiences to customers. So basically helping teams build software faster. So build out a whole platform that people could like press a couple buttons and have a production system, shelled out, and then just pour in the functionality with a business stakeholder. That was great. So, but then, I kind of got, I got tired, and Fidelity was doing some restructuring, so I took a package, and then that's when I was just sort of doing sort of freelance consulting and stuff. I've actually consulted for Algorand.
Interesting. So was that your first introduction to crypto when you were doing Algorand?
So now we're going to go back in time, Michael J. Fox style. So
55 miles an hour.
No,
88, right? 88. Sorry, 55 is the speed limit here. Sorry.
We're gonna go all the way back to 2011, and I basically, with $3,600, I built 2 Bitcoin miners and was mining Bitcoin. Mined 135 of them. I remember when Bitcoin was like hit $1 and stuff. I met Eric Voorhees, and I met Roger Ver and Stephen Pear. And I was drinking with Stephen Pear and his partner for up until 3 a.m. at night. Founders of BitPay. Till 3 a.m. in the morning, talking, shooting shit. That was the International Bitcoin Conference in summer of 2011 in New York City. We were like running like a pack of us, just running people who were implementing the first ASIC miners and stuff were all there. Everyone was there, and maybe even Satoshi was there. But it was a really electric time. I didn't know what I was sitting on. Sometimes I have this I get enamored with technology and stuff like that, but sometimes I just like I was making like 6 figures, healthy 6 figures at where was I, at State Street at the time. Right. And I was just like, my wife was like, these Bitcoin miners are making my oh God,
my microwave not work, the hairdryer.
Hold on one second. These marketers are ferocious. I tell you, like, can we do partnership? Blah 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 blah. I'm like, stop it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Someone came into Cryptozoa yesterday and demanded that we do a contract with them if they invest in Drip, and I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah. So no, it was a great time. I think I went to actually a conference not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago before the pandemic, in Toronto, and I met a couple of people from Eric's team, and that was fun. And I still need to like reconnect and stuff with a lot of those folks. But I basically said, I checked on Bitcoin a little bit later. I did turn off my miners. I got involved in some hacks and stuff. I got hacked, whatever.
Oh, no.
I did find a Bitcoin not too long ago on an old laptop, though. That was fun. So a whole Bitcoin. So
you basically, essentially, you have been a crypto player for a while, and you've been involved with a lot of big people that a lot of us couldn't even dream of have met, basically.
Yeah. I'm actually excited. So I will be at the Bitcoin 2022 conference. So I'm hoping for the first time in a long time. I've eaten pizza with Charles Hutchinson, Alex, Alex Mashinsky knows me and stuff like that, sees me all the time. So it's just, I've been here a while, and Justin Sun flew me out.
Right. So I do want to ask, so why did you, when you were doing this project, and although you go by Bankteller BT, the villain known as, why don't you use your name, and why do you prefer to be doxxed, by the way? Why did you decide to be doxxed? Because I know a lot of people don't, and for one reason or another, I'm actually not sure why everyone chooses to be undoxxed. So why did you choose to be doxxed?
So when I was like representing State Street Fidelity, I was going to conferences and stuff like that. Beyond just the people who knew me at work, representing the company and sharing ideas about technology and fintech, for a while, doing public speaking, all that stuff. You can look that up as myself. Just given the nature of everything, like my first experience was like in DeFi was P3D, like which is a sort of fun, notorious, whatever contract that made a lot of people money, but it was still just fundamentally in assets, price can be predatory. So I went to tame that contract and stuff. But just starting out, like the P3D guys, they were anonymous, and so I was like, maybe this anonymous thing has some merit, so maybe I'll just be anonymous, at least until I get some traction. I'll just be anonymous, and plus I wanted people to put money into my contracts, so I didn't want my personal affiliations or whatever to get in the way of people making good decisions with their money. So I just said, like, let me put on the cowl and the cape. No, just kidding. No, and do my thing. So, through a series of events, mainly mistakes on my part, you have a good contract and you have a bad contract. You have a bug, you get exploited or whatever. I've never lost money. No one's ever lost money in my contracts. There have been some contracts where, one early contract on Ethereum where, people who got in early could have made a lot of money or did make a lot of money. Once fair launches came out and stuff, like I kind of sit back and I observe like what's going on, and I observe the trends, and then I just sort of add them to the tool chest. So, ever since sort of fair launches came out on-chain fair launches, I've never released anything that didn't have a fair launch. So that's like one of the things. And so like I'm not going to name any names, but some people still like to do like pre-sales, like a lot of pre-sales with multiple tokens, but I'm not naming any names. And bots can run rampant and buy up all the tokens and might not even have to relaunch stuff and pause stuff. And God forbid, blacklist. Oh my God, I would never blacklist that address.
So we're going to get into a question about that in a little bit.
That's a no. But anyway, yeah, I would just say that as far as the tool chest goes, yeah, I try to add best practices where I can. And
Okay,
I think fair launches are a big deal.
So you've been doxxed for a while, and you're comfortable with that, and that's been working well for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's great. I think that's pretty fantastic. And I know people will choose not to do it for one reason or another. Hopefully not shady and nefarious reasons, but it seems that you're actually really fun to hang out with, chat with. So I'm glad that you kind of doxed. So we're going to move on to your product right now, and I know the answer to this question. What is elephant money? And you get asked this question a lot, but I just would love to hear in your own words, if you could just describe, even if it's short, how you would describe your product.
So after the first two blockchains, I started on Ethereum with these sort of neutered hourglass contracts, try to make hourglass safe. And that worked out pretty well. That technology is still running in the Elephant Money platform today. The mission is cash flow for all. So that it took a while for that to sort of manifest itself, but by the time we got to Tron with Bankroll, we understood what the mission was, and now we were just trying to figure out what the contract was. Had that contract manifest itself. And then at some point we figured out that it's not going to be just like one contract, it's going to be a network of contracts. So my systems got progressively more complex. And I started messing around with liquidity after Uniswap was out for a while. And so I think that's like kind of one of my superpowers, like liquidity jockeying is what I call it. Yeah, it's all about liquidity. So, but cash flow for all is the mission, and what we're really trying to do. The other thing that we kind of figured out was that you can build, if the system actually works, then you can build permissionless UBI. It's borderless, right? Once the system starts working, all you're really talking about is who's the payer. The payer doesn't have to be a government. It could be your cousin, right? It could be, either you or your cousin could be the irresponsible one who, bar hops and whatever, and is bad with their money. But if you, send them a sponsorship, then they'll get a drip of income. And you say, here's your drip of income. You're going to be making $500 a week from now on. And if you're responsible about it, you can even grow that. Don't call me anymore, or only call me if you want turkey, or only call me if you want to exchange presents on the birthday. But I don't want to hear any more sob stories. So yeah, so basically, really magical systems, and we just had to figure out what the contract was. And so Bankroll Flow, which is basically an inflationary bug-ridden version of drip. Mm-hmm. So he who shall not be named cloned it, fixed a couple bugs, copied the whole front end, but that's fine. But yeah, it took me a while to get over that because I knew him, but in the end, I want what's best for the community.
Right.
And the community needs our community. And I say our community, I mean like the sort of unacknowledged degens, like the ones that don't show up on CoinDesk, right? We needed a big win, and we got that in drip. So I'm jumping all around, but that's just my style. Bear with me.
No, I think that's good.
Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, getting back to what Elephant is a sort of Elephant Money is all of the lessons learned. When I mean lessons, I mean since like 20 plus years ago, but also in DeFi and in the projects and the communities that I've helped foster and build over these past 5 years. it's everything. And what it manifests into, like when we first launched Elephant, it was just the stat contract. So we were supporting BTC, ETH, BNB in these simple stat contracts. You get about anywhere between 20 to 30, maybe 40% APR on those types of contracts. And there's also a break-even point because the yield is generated through taxes on deposits and withdrawals. Obviously, the current Elephant money doesn't work that way at all. So I had to invent a new way of creating yield on chain. That's where the liquidity jockeying in is. I'll save that and I'll answer that later. But basically, what Elephant money is right now is probably one of the best places in the industry to earn yield on stablecoins. And with that system, it also happens to implement a permissionless universal basic income where anyone can be the payer, anyone can be the benefactor. Right. And I think that's really magical and special. And I think the adoption that we're seeing is, people see it now. People see it now, and we worked a long time as a community to get to this point.
Right. So I hear you saying that it's so Elephant money is basically all of your experiences put together to provide basically money for anyone, universal basic income for everyone, and that's kind of what I'm kind of hearing basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great, and everyone who's watching, you could feel free to pop your questions in the chat. I know, Ali, I saw you ask a question about marketing. I actually have that on my list. I have a bunch of questions here, but we'll take questions from the chat too if you want to pop them in sort of ad hoc also. However, so we will crack on. And actually, you know what, while we're on the topic, will you be doing any marketing? I guess pop in Ali's question right now. What's the marketing plan, marketing push? Have you been doing it? Do you plan on doing it? What's the kind of the roadmap here?
Okay. Yes. So even things like, where does the marketing budget come from? So we had a fair launch. 1% of the tokens were set aside for a development and marketing budget. If you look at the Elephant chart, you'll see for a long time it was just kind of flat and like worth a tenth of what it is now, less than a tenth of what it is now. But I used those funds to get the auditing done, to establish the relationships with CertIC and with Solidity Finance, and basically get the base infrastructure set up. Once we, through a series of events, we got to where we are now. That was always the goal, but there were definitely lulls, and there was definitely time for reflection. People begged me to build a flow clone, and I refused because remember, price appreciation is the enemy, because it really stratifies the community, mm-hmm. and that's what we're kind of seeing with Drip right now. But in terms of the majority of the marketing budget, that initial marketing budget was used for audits and some key buys. When I started the relationship with BSC News, funds from that were used. So we have about, there's not much left in that budget. But when I built Trunk in Stampede, I also said, well, I need to figure out a better way to have the budget, the marketing development budget, scale with the size of the business. And so that's where there's a performance pool. So the performance pool, so if you go on the Trunk page, you'll see that there's a rewards tab at the reserve. And one is the Trunk staking dividend pool, and then the other one is the performance pool. So 1% of 1% of the volume on minting and redemption is used to fund the performance pool. So that performance pool is used for marketing and development. So right now we have a website refresh that's coming up soon. That's in the final stages. We're in implementation. We're past design, so it's going to be a nice fresh design. That's going to be amazing. We have a development relationship coming up that I'm still working on. A couple key development projects like analytics projects and things like that that are going to flesh out the system. And then on the marketing front, we have a full Hollywood agency. The head of that, Diane Oved, she worked for EMI, the music label. She's worked for, she's represented major stars, and she's also represented crypto projects. So they're operating or contributing to all of the social media now. So I don't really touch Twitter anymore. I don't touch Instagram or Facebook or anything like that.
That's good because I hate doing that.
Yeah, that's being managed. That's being managed by the PR team.
Yeah.
They're managing all the outreach to YouTubers. So, wow, YouTubers are greedy. So it could be anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 a pop, to get coverage.
Right.
But that's being paid directly out of that performance pool. So that performance pool pays out 1% a day, just like the so that keeps the lights on and gets the YouTubers paid. We actually did a big deal with BSC Scan. So we'll be running ads for Elephant for a whole month, and we're probably just going to continue that relationship. That's quite a chunk of change, but well worth it. It's the kind of ad spend that scales with the business. So I'm really happy about that, and hope to have a long-term relationship with them. I think there's no better place for us to show up in a sort of impartial way. It's a bread and butter tool, and we're top of mind now on BSC. The best marketing, though, I'll wrap up that question with this. The best marketing is word of mouth.
That's true.
This platform really took off when I implemented the partner program. And so I implemented the partner program at the same time, the partner network, the herd. I implemented at the same time as I was bringing on the marketing team. And I was just telling the marketing team, it's like, hey, you guys need to do the window dressing and stuff like that for the social media. But like, really, we need to put the right tools into the community's hands. The community can really take this to the next level. I'm implementing this partner program, and everything we do needs to just support that. So I've also ramped up. There's been volunteers that have been participating in this whole series of experiments since the very beginning. So on the community management side, that's pretty much a whole volunteer team. Obviously, those admins that you see in there, they've been with me since for multiple blockchains, multiple projects. There's basically 3 in total: Party, Bankroll, and now Elephant. And by the way, Bankroll's still 100% running. It's just like, why do that? It's on Tron. Come over here. So
did you abandon that project? I've heard someone ask that before. Or is that project still going?
The keys have been revoked, so it's running, paying money. With no development in probably almost a year. That project still has over 5 million, actually 7 million in TVL in it, without me doing anything. Like, there are people who still use the platform. There are people still growing teams on Flow, and I'm like, don't do that. Like, just stop. like stop. I
official advice from the man himself. Just
I beg the team leads.
Stop.
I beg the team leads. Just stop. Like, stop pumping your bags. I know you can get money out of this, but is your like $500, whatever you're getting out of Flow, is it really worth it? You're supposed to be caring about these team members and stuff. So, just stop. Like, anyway,
Right.
but that's another conversation. But yeah, everything's still running. I mean, Credits still has money in it. Like there's contracts that I had. I mean, basically, if you go to bankroll.network, you'll see like it looks like a restaurant menu of contracts, and these are like all the experiments that I've run. It's like a freaking Italian restaurant of contracts, but
Interesting.
But it's all baked in. It's all baked. That's why we have Elephant, because all the lessons learned and what to do, and then I had my personal experience. So I had actually amassed, I'll say it. I amassed like $2 million just holding through the bear market, slowly accumulating with these very conservative contracts that I was building on Bankroll and then on Elephant.
Wow.
I was like, okay. And then like basically BSC was having like a DeFi summer. And I was like, okay, let me be responsible and put some of these winnings into stablecoin. And so BDO happened and Iron Finance happened. In Iron Finance, there was a point where I was making like $100,000 an hour.
That's incredible.
I got, that was tough. I really got burnt. So, with very little liquid cash left, I had to like take the L,
right.
in like with a $150,000 investment at $15 drip. I had to eat humble pie, and I was like,
Yeah.
I need to pay my bills for like, springtime, summer, and so I threw it into drip, and then the rest is history. Drip whale.
Wow.
And now I'm not a drip maxi, obviously, but
Yeah.
I am pretty big in drip.
So I still have another question with that, but before I just want to interrupt to make this about me. So New Inceptions wrote nice haircut, Mikey, and that's actually the best comment that I've seen so far in any AMA. And it's comments like that. You should keep writing comments like that because flattery works, that works, and New Inception, you're the next AMA. No, but the next question I have, and we're gonna get into a really crazy question because someone asked, of course, about sustainability. How I know there are other videos you could just give a brief about that one. Before we do that, I'm talking about drip. Do you and F still get along?
I want to say yes. I am probably a decade older than Forex, at least. So I'm a little calmer, wiser, even keeled, But anyway, because he can get pretty crazy behind closed doors, or not so closed doors. I have videos. I can get crazy too, but like no. No, so I met Forex in the SK group. He was bringing quite a bit of pre-sales to us. He's still like the pre-sale king. So, so we did quite a bit of business together. And he was begging me for the longest time. He was like, "Hey, we should partner up. We should, I really like what you're doing with Bankroll. Let's do this." Da, 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 da. I was like, man, and I'm going through like civil war. Like basically what he's dealing with now, I was dealing with, and it's not my fault. It's not his fault. It is literally the nature of the contract. You have to understand the contract is its own beast. There's like three things. There's you as the developer. You're like the jockey, the groomer, the tamer. You're managing the beast. You're also help manage the community, and hopefully the community is helping manage the beast as well. But like the contracts have their own character, their own nature. They bring out either the best or the worst in the community, depending on how they operate. Like, I'll tell you like a contract network that's just beautiful, just serene, just no drama. Balancer. What's his name? Federico. So Federico runs that one out of Brazil, I think, South America somewhere. But like, so I when I was doing some stuff over in ETH, I got to meet that team, and Balancer's drama free, right? It's blue chip, it's drama free, and whales stake their money there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that was another big learning, another big lesson is like, sometimes it's not all about the X's. You want to get the yield high if you can, but it's not always about the X's. People who are already rich, if you give them over 10%, they're happy. I'm sorry, like it is what it is. And so the point is like, when you participate in platforms like this, sometimes you got to pay your dues, which basically means you're starting small. You're starting with like a $5,000 investment, $10,000 investment if you're very aggressive, or if that's why it's better to get in with friends. Pool your money together. Be strategic,
right?
But don't miss the opportunity. Don't go it alone. Like if you're the average person in America, you're making $30,000 a year. It might be hard to go alone, but you have family, so you guys can pull your money together, and then you can hit this problem hard, right? And use that 672% a day. 672% APY, and really change lives in like 2 years with $10,000. Like that's almost $70,000 first year. And it's $472,000 the second year if you just compound daily. So, but getting back to Forex, I was under a lot of stress trying to manage the community, because just like what you saw in Drip, like the majority of people are losers, right? Everybody rushes in at the end at the high price with all this irrational exuberance, right? And then the token price lets them down, right? And then the whales, the very people who got them in, the promoters, they're dumping. And they can say they're not dumping, and they can say this or that and the other, but the chart don't lie. The transactions don't lie. So that was the biggest lesson that I learned from Bankroll. And when Forex decided to fork the code, the thing that made me the most angry and like, because for a while we were like, I didn't really say anything. But then I just, I saw, and I actually got in. I actually got in at $15. I think as Drip got more successful, Forex being a little younger and less experienced, he got cocky, and one of the ways that he took that out is, aggressively coming after me and trying to drag my name in the dirt and stuff. And I was like, man, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, we have a lot of private conversations. So I was like, and I've talked to him on the phone multiple times. I was like, man, you can't be doing that stuff. Like, we have a responsibility, right? And and then we had a big blowout fight once in DGen. That was epic. But anyway, we were arguing for like an hour and a half. It was like longer. It was like 2 hours. It was bad. It was really bad. It was really, really bad. But like
interesting.
But anyway, he's done a lot for the community. He's he did take the initiative to fork the code. He's like, whatever, BT, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm going to fork your shit. And because of that move, a lot of people, we have brought wealth and attention to the space. We have brought a lot of people to the space who otherwise wouldn't be here. And we're going to continue to, do what we do. And the arms race continues. Arms race continues. Yes.
So here's a question along that line, sort of. Do you feel like there are any constructive conversations to be had with Forex in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I am really not, I'm not mad at him. Like a lot of, I'll be the first to say, a lot of Elephant's success is literally he's onboarding people to BSC. He's one of the biggest onboarders of average Joes to BSC. Let's give them some credit. Let's hand clap. Like so. And every legitimate platform on BSC, can thank him, and now we can thank the elephant chart as well. So
no, it's great, and I see a great future for both of these projects. Honestly, I'm really heavy in drip and about to be really heavy in elephant money as well. I've got some elephant money, but I'll be going a lot heavier within the next week or two here. We're going to talk about that in just a minute with a fun question. But if ever there is a time where you feel like there are some constructive things that could be talked about openly, we'd love to have both you and Forex come on and just have a brief discussion about whatever topic works to kind of show more unity between you two going forward, if that's ever something that comes up.
Yeah, I think one of the top of mind right now is really safety. There's a lot of scammers out there. I mean, there's like a dozen fake elephant money Telegram groups. I don't even know if there's fake elephant money Discords or whatever. But and the same thing for drip. Users are losing their funds in both elephant and drip and other projects because of these scammers. So we started Elephant Money University on our YouTube channel, and so Crypto Slow, SK are helping to build that out. There's going to be more resources coming there, but I think in terms of like education and protecting users, helping sort of align with the best onboarding tools for BSC and stuff like that. I think if we can kind of streamline, how people get on the BSC, starting with just $1.
Right.
Those are the types of things that we definitely could collaborate on.
Yeah. Listen, I love that too. As kind of a round table between you and Forex, where you talk about the safety and the security that users need to take, things they need to watch out for, things that you're working on within your protocols to help promote those things as well. I think that would be a blast as a round table to do.
Yeah.
Mike, you go.
I agree. I was about to say, I feel like the communication and what you're doing with the Elephant Money YouTube channel is actually something I think is that I would love to see in drip, because right now, I mean, we're kind of splintered. Everyone has their own videos and different channels and everything, but I appreciate that you're doing this sort of thing as sort of a direct communication to the person who comes on Elephant Money, because I feel like that is something that is paramount, because I think people left in the dark end up doing things that they eventually regret. Buying the wrong token address, hitting the wrong chat, having their money stolen by weird contracts or people asking for their seed phrase. So the more information you're able to get to people, it really is helpful overall. So I appreciate that you're doing that.
Yep.
So now cracking on for a crazier topic. So we'll finally ask. So someone did ask this question, so I want to pose it to you. So wrong one. So Stampede. So let's talk about the Stampede APY sustainability. So someone asked about that. Could you just talk a little bit about the sustainability of Stampede and everything?
Okay, sure. That one, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible and give me like a second. Sure. Just, I always try to experiment with like the most succinct way to explain these things. But let's start with something that like people, it's 1% a day. Okay, so we start with 1% a day, right? And of course, again, BB and Forex, they, instead of going in the inflationary route, let's do heavy taxation and try to avoid inflation. And obviously, in the case of this system, there actually is there's no starting supply of the token. Trunk is minted on demand.
Right.
But Trunk is backed by value as well, right? So you're literally converting BUSD two trunk and elephant, 75, 25% split. But starting with the flow contract, now there are aspects that are basically flow, but Stampede really is its own beast, and flow then becomes a small component of the overall contract network that represents the whole thing. So you have a constellation of contracts that support the stable token, and the treasuries, the LPs, the trunk BUSD LP, and so forth. And then you have the 1%. But along the lines of the 1%, how we get to 0.56% a day is a 25% tax in, 25% tax out. We don't need to talk about that because it's just 0.56. After all the math is done, right. 0.56 a day. And so, for a while, I was trying to communicate in the old style, like 25% in, 10% in, 10% out. Right. No. What's the percentage a day? We start there. And so, what's the percentage a day? What's the simple APR if you do nothing? Very easy to communicate. What's the APY based on role behavior? Right. Done. And so that's how we got to that.
So an interesting thing about that, something I just learned last night through developing kind of looking at developing my own front end for it. That's why a lot of your calculations have to happen in the UI to make your numbers show up correctly in the UI. Is that part of that reason?
Yes.
Okay, that's a great answer for those that are developer types that are looking to interact directly with your contracts and have found out that you have to do some math to make your numbers line up. That's the why for that. And so, looking at you, Rich, because we had this discussion last night.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. And along those lines, like people say, well, what's the ABI? How come this particular contract's not verified? Bankteller is not verified. Doing this for like 5 years in the space. And Forex actually said this on an AMA of his own. I listened to his stuff and stuff. I respect Forex, and I hope that he would respect me for helping enrich his community and himself. But like he talked about like what auditors like, and what sort of like best practice maxis like, and the realities of being in this space. And so you're trying to balance market competitiveness. You're trying to get a foothold before the clones come out and this and that, before you get eaten alive. Right. And so 90% of the contracts are verified and open source. The client is not obfuscated at all, really. But then like Stampede and the many versions that have been released, I don't even take the time to verify those because number one, they're changing, and number two, like, a lot of that's like kind of the sauce. And, we have, and the economics of this platform say, it's a network effect, right? So, and it's a multi-pronged network effect. The larger the team you build in the partner network, the more you can earn. The larger your account gets over time, at least for the current version of the engine. Once you put money into Stampede, there's no better place to make money on the internet, because the bigger it gets, it goes from being 0.56% a day to being a pure 2x machine, right? Because it's honoring the lifetime deposits. It's 0.56 on the lifetime deposits, not 0.56 on unpaid bonds. So every bond is basically going to get paid out 2x. And once it gets paid out 2x, you really shouldn't be offering 0.56 on it, whatever. So one of the things I learned from the Ohm forks, though, is that incentives matter. So like right now, actually honoring your lifetime deposit is a huge incentive for people to stick with the platform, because once your money's in, there's no better place to make money, because you're making actually better than 0.56%.
Right.
So every day that you roll, every day that you compound, every day that you just add new money, you're making significantly more gains than 0.56%.
Love that. I'm going to move on to my question now. Because like I mentioned, I'm actually getting ready to go quite heavy in elephant. I sold my software company last week, and so I'm looking to diversify quite a bit right now. And just to the best of what you're comfortable sharing, if someone was going to put $50,000 into your platform, what type of breakdown do you feel like is a good breakdown for that, between splitting between elephant for holding and reflections versus into the stampede versus into trunk?
You know, do your own research. I am not a licensed financial advisor.
all of that with that notwithstanding, for sure.
Yeah. I would say look no further than the charts, and then look no further than the daily the APY if compounded daily. Those two things are what you need to look at. You need to look at that chart, and you need to understand what's driving that chart. I would say also look at the liquidity. The easiest way to understand the system, people say a picture tells 1,000 words. Really, understanding what the curve looks like for 672% APY, you need to understand what that curve looks like and where you start on it. And then looking at the chart, and you want to look at a couple of charts. You want to look at the overall performance of elephant, but you also want to look at the liquidity. What does the liquidity profile look like for elephant BNB and elephant BUSD? You'll see that you want to look at the how that's correlated to trunk BUSD LP, and you'll see that all of those liquidity charts are up and to the right. Why? It's because I've prioritized liquidity over price. What if I told you that we could have already had $1 billion market cap if I just prioritized price instead of liquidity? But then people would be dumping left and right, and the chart there'd be a ton of volatility in the chart. So the way that I've designed the system is it's constantly grooming liquidity. I recently, I always, when I explain these things, there's a short answer, like the actual recommendation. But I think it's better for me to give you the underpinnings, the reasons why, because that's why I'm here. Because anybody can just tell you just blah, blah, blah.
Right? Yeah, it's better for everybody to understand the why.
Exactly. So, some people just love aping it, and the industry is it really has gotten people into this mentality where, if things look like they're going well, then people just ape, and they don't like do the reading and the research and stuff. But anyway, back to
that's me.
Thank
you. I aped into your product. That wasn't a friend. That was me.
I saw that. I watched that video. You were like, I just threw a bunch in. I don't know what I was actually doing. I'll figure it out later. But
yeah, SK saved me. What did I do?
But basically, and people ask, like, why does the chart look that way? Why doesn't this look like it marches? Because literally through grooming the liquidity, and the protocol owns 99.9% of the liquidity across all the liquidity pools. So I actually had to go to bat for the community. People remember, like, we were like almost top 10 on BSC or in the top 10 or top 15 on BSC on DeFi Llama when we first added our adapter to DeFi Llama. Of course, I was reporting the network value of the whole protocol, which is not the TVL how they like to count it. So we had to go back and forth in negotiations, and it was. Luckily, I had gone through a similar thing like that with Balancer back in the day for the Vault token on Ethereum. So I was I checked myself. I calmed down. I was like, how dare you? How dare you? Like, you haven't even read the white paper. How dare you change my adapter? God forbid. No, but yeah. So they had completely nerfed us. We were super OP. We were going to be in the top 10 next week, and they nerfed us down to like 5 mil. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And so back and forth. Had to go back, and what they really had a problem with was like, the graveyard. They're like, we can't count the graveyard. Graveyard got tokens right at the beginning, right from the deployer address. This does not look right, man. Does not look right. I'm like, dude, what if I told you that the graveyard is the biggest participant in circulating supply? Just because it's not a person, well, that's not fair. Just because it's not a person doesn't mean it's not a participant. The graveyard is key to generational wealth. This is literally a whale that will never dump on you. Every single holder of the elephant token, before they in their during the discovery phase and during the decision-making phase, before they make a purchase of elephant token, if they're educated, they at least have to consider what the graveyard means. And when they choose to buy that token, they're saying, yes, we're going to give more value. We're going to enrich everyone who already is a holder by making this purchase and bumping up the price. That includes the graveyard. So it's not like people are going in blind. Like, and my biggest thing was like, how dare you disagree with the wisdom of the crowd? People are buying into this token knowing that there's a graveyard, knowing that there's not a whale that's going to dump you. But wait, there's more. What if I told you that there's a second whale, the treasury, that's equally greedy, if not more? It will never get as many tokens as the graveyard, which has 50%, 50 to 51%, but it's going to try its hardest to get to 50%. So every time anyone dumps, the graveyard is there to snap, to eat it up. And when the graveyard, the treasury is there to eat it up. And when the graveyard does a rebalance and gives back 1%, the treasury is there to say, yes, finally, I get a break, I get a discount. Because the treasury buys all tops. The treasury buys all tops. And when the graveyard gives up 1%, the treasury's like, gotcha, bitch. I'm gonna buy up these freaking tokens. So and so it's a battle between the graveyard and the treasury, which is very exciting, which leads to supply shock that's happening. And it's like the supply shock, people say, well, when's supply shock? It's kind of like a train wreck in slow motion. It's already happening, and it's like a perpetual, it's like time dilation where you never get to the end of the train wreck. It's just constantly happening over like millennia, but like the price just keeps going more and more parabolic. So it's not a surprising that like, as long as there's attention and market activity and also the steady demand of stablecoin yield, that we're seeing these double-digit days, like especially during the weekday when traders are active and when investors are active. So that's the base underpinning, right? So you have deep liquidity. We're trying to build generational wealth. Our primary stores of wealth are in the locked liquidity pools. No one can move those pools. Those pools the tokens are owned by the protocol, and specifically they're owned by the token contract. So the Trunk BUSD is owned by the Trunk token. The two BNB and BUSD LPs for Elephant are owned by the Elephant token. So the only way to get tokens in or out is to actually make a purchase, and all of the or sale, and then the executor contracts. The administrative control that I have is over the executor contracts,
right?
Which basically massage the liquidity, and it only can massage liquidity by doing an ad.
Right.
There's no remove. I can't remove because those executor contracts don't own the LP tokens. So once the liquidity is added, it can't be removed. So we're married to BUSD, we're married to BNB, and that's just the way it is.
So I just want to address something in the chat. D, I know you're you're talking about sustainability. Actually, BT sent me a good video. I'm going to put in the comments too. That actually talks in depth about sustainability. It has flow charts and everything. So look for that afterwards. I can't do it now, obviously, but that'll help answer your question. Let's not get crazy in the chat about he's not answering the question that I want in the way that I want him to. So we'll help provide those resources. I saw SK reached out to you too. So I hear you talking about BT, about just I guess the safeties you put in. Oh, you I mean you can talk about.
I could do the sustainability one real quick. So
sure.
At a very high level, you have two things going on, and you can see that in the chart. So if you could share your screen and go to the stats real quick.
Sure. You got that, JC?
Yeah, let me find it back over here. There we go.
And just scroll down to the global stats. Actually, you can click the stats on the not there, but on the Stampede perpetual bonds. Scroll down. Stampede perpetual, stats there. Okay, so 40%. So starting with this. This is a great right here. So we have about 14 million in bonds. We've already paid out 5.49. So the payouts will always trail the bonds. During growth phase. And remember that if we have 14 million in bonds, then we have to pay out 28 million, right? And we've already paid out 5. So we've already paid out 5. And then that's important because there's always a steady state going on. There's always you want to think of the system as a set of scales that are always balanced, right? And in the case of our system, we're meeting debt obligations. We only have to meet 0.56% of the total outstanding bonds, unpaid bonds. So there's more stats that I can put up here, just a little bit of math to make things easier to understand. But basically, we have to pay 0.56% on the unpaid bonds, not on. So even looking at this number, we have to take into account that we already paid 4 million, but there's not really a stat that tells you that. So there's just more constant work that needs to be done. The stability ratio is a good example of a stat that didn't exist before, that I added based on the current operating system. This stat was always here, it just wasn't revealed. So there'll be more stats that are revealed to make people understand. But basically, we have no problem meeting current debt obligations. And also from our promise is to pay out dollars. So even if the US dollar tanks, we're still just married to the dollar. And guess what? If you want to buy a car or a house, guess what? You're still going to pay in dollars. So, and can you make more than the average $30,000 that the average American makes with this platform? Easily. Almost doesn't matter what number you start out with. If you make an investment grade, if you make a investment decision instead of just playing around, you put $100 in, you're playing around. You put $1,000 in, you're making a life-changing decision.
Right.
You put $10,000 in, you're going to be rich. As long as the platform continues to run. So let's continue to talk about stability, right? But this 40% stability ratio is important or sustainability. Let's talk about the stability ratio here though, 40%. This says, in this platform, we care about stablecoin US dollar yield. We don't care about what Bitcoin is doing. We don't care about what BNB is doing. We care about the fact that if we put X amount of dollars in, we get Y amount of dollars out. It's just a function. That's all we care about. So, and we know that Toyota is, no matter how bad it gets, Toyota is not going to make you pay $60,000 for a Camry. Or actually, you can spec a Camry out to $60,000. Let's say Civic.
Right.
There's something called price elasticity. There's only so much that manufacturers can inflate a price before a consumer will walk away. So if you continue to scroll down now. So the big takeaway from that last stat was those first set of stats is that the system's already paying. It's already there's always debt obligations in the past. People are so worried about the future, they never even looked at what the system's done for the past. Like the system's already paid out debt obligations. It already has less obligations to meet, right? So, wow, amazing day. I have not looked at these stats yet today. So whenever like this third decimal place for the Pancake LP is like high, that means that basically, what does that mean? So you want to think about the Pancake LP as the shield for generational wealth. It is a buffer. Now, there are two ways to build a buffer. So in drip, it's just literally a buffer. There's just drip going in, drip going out. When people aren't buying drip and they're not putting it in the faucet, that supply of drip in the vault shrinks. And it can shrink to a point where it has to start minting tokens. You don't want to get to that point. But you can kind of measure the health of drip by how big that vault is getting. Now, we have a completely different system that is built on this like less dashboardy, less ROI-like, and it's built around hard liquidity. And what we're doing is when we're putting money into liquidity pools and we can keep it there, we're winning. And those 1%, like, you know, understanding economics, you understand that like 1%, like that concept, 1/100th is big. That's a big number. So when you're giving out like 5%, when you're giving out 5% referrals and stuff like that, that's suicide. It's literally one of the reasons why, like, with just minor modifications to drip, probably, you know, you could have that price trending back in the right direction as long as adoption was there. The referral size is way too big. 5% is massive, but like, let's get back to 1%. 1% is a huge number, so that's a huge fee, and the system's capitalizing on that to build liquidity. Remember that I had to invent a new way to award yield, right? So the yield's not being generated from some lending platform. It's not being generated from scraping off a principal. It's being generated from manipulating the constant product formula in the AMM, in the liquidity pool itself. And it starts with having that big whale holder that's just greedy and is actually collecting reflections as well. Since it's collecting reflections, it's collecting income, passive income beyond all of the brute force things that I'm doing when you deposit BUSD into the system. So, but anyway, this third decimal place here, this means that for as long as this is above peg, this elephant treasury that's right below at 188 trillion gets to continue to grow. Every time somebody does a deposit, every time people do trading of elephant, there's reflections, it continues to grow uninterrupted. And because it continues to grow uninterrupted, it means that consequently, since no cells are coming in for it to service, you know, to generate yield, to realize yield, it means that the LP gets to march up price. In an AMM with the constant product formula, if you do a buy, price goes up. If you do a sell, price goes down. If you can stack those buys before a sell before sell comes, guess what? Price ratchets up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing. We do price ratcheting. It's like you want to imagine like, what's the difference between, a good way to think about it is this: you have two ways of, you have old school leverage, and you have modern leverage. And let's relate it to lifting up a car. You could have a big rock and a stick or metal pole, right? And you can use that rock to lift up the car and apply leverage, right? But here's the problem: you have to apply constant pressure to that pole on the other side of the rock to lift the car. But if you use a jack to lift the car, guess what? Every time you press that jack down, it turns a screw. It has a backstop mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
So once you ratchet it up, it's up. Once you apply that pressure, you're going through indirection. So instead of directly, applying force with leverage, you're using that force to just turn a screw, and the threads in the jack are strong enough to support the force and the weight, and it's literally no problem at all to turn that screw, and guess what? The car goes up. That's what we're doing. We're jacking up the price. We're using the Pancake LP as a backstop to support liquidity. So this is the buffer. So people constantly coming in and out to get Trunk. Why are they coming in and out of Trunk BUSD pool? They're coming in unlimited demand, by the way, but they're coming in and guess what? All these LPs are collecting fees. Who are those fees being paid out to? The protocol. The protocol doesn't need to ever remove liquidity and sell. So all the fees as well, 0.15% on Pancake LPs, that's getting stored up as well. So there's all this literally this entropy, this energy, economic energy that's building up in these components. And the liquidity pools are very critical because they're active. They're active. So people coming in and out, trading Trunk. The more we just use Trunk for its pure liquidity, pay your friend with Trunk. Make him, and if he wants dollars, make him have to go convert to BUSD, figure out how to onboard, all that stuff. But start paying your people. Here's the biggest takeaway.
Right.
Pay your people with Trunk. If you remember anything from this AMA, pay your people, your loved ones, your associates, your friends. You go out to dinner, you take your friends out to dinner, say, hey, you know what? I got it. Or if I owe you some money, hey, that $25 I owed you, guess what? I'm gonna give it to you. I'm actually gonna give you double,
right?
But it's gonna be in Trunk.
Right.
And that's one of the best ways. We wanted to make this go viral. Pay your people in Trunk. It's like, hey, I'll give you more. I'll give you a bonus. I'll give you 20%, 30% extra. But you're gonna have to learn about this thing because I can't be alone by myself on the yacht. When I go down to Miami, or if I go down to Cancun or this or that and vacationing, none of us need to be broke anymore. And that means that, and I'm not going to be paying your bill. So you need to get on this platform. It's like the easiest job you ever have. You just wake up in the morning, take out your ledger, open your phone, hit roll, done. Let's see, this collateralization ratio. So remember, we have, and here's another thing, Forex, forgive me for, it's just too convenient to use Drip as a better way to understand, for everyone. So right. I'm just doing it. So Drip, but do you want to buy Drip now? Some people do, some people don't. When Drip is at $200, some people want to buy Drip, some people don't. It's probably smart if you don't want to buy Drip at $200. Do you want to buy Drip now? I don't know, but it's have we hit the floor yet? This and that, TA, all that stuff. $1 is $1. So if you can tell me I get yield on X amount of yield on $1, there's no breaks on this platform is what I'm saying. Is basically people are just always coming in. Okay, this becomes an essential tool in their portfolio. It period. Like
Right.
the whales have been earning yield and very low yield. We were talking about what, 5-6% yields on balancer for USDC DAI pairs and stuff like that. And the whales were like, this is great. Hedge funds were like, this is awesome. Right? So again, working at Fidelity. Rich people just want to stay rich. They have their real world businesses that are doing crazy numbers, right? Kylie Jenner, 818, tequila, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, tequila. Everybody's selling tequila. George Clooney started it, or with Casamigos, right? Everyone's selling alcohol. Snoop. It's sad, but everybody's selling alcohol, which is bad for people. But all these entertainers are just putting stuff in bottles for people to drink. Putting stuff in bottles for them to put it on their face or put it in their body, right? 50 cent vitamin water. Like literally, entertainers sell liquid. That's the next step. You make a movie, then you sell liquid. You do your album, then you sell liquid. Is it going to be like something you smear in your face? Is it going to be something people drink? But it's always liquid.
Right.
But yeah, so that collateralization ratio, 14. Yeah, 14x the amount of money in the elephant treasury that we need to pair up with the cash, right? That is literally the. There's one more thing I need to show in the stats, though.
Sure.
Just some very simple math. Sorry. Okay. Brass tacks. Tell you how much we're ahead already. So 0.56% a day is nothing. Somebody take out a calculator and do 0.56 on 14 million. Tell me what that number is. But like stacked, yeah, that's nothing. And then people are going to decide whether when they do take that, they're either going to put it into staking. They're not necessarily going to convert to BUSD immediately. But what is potentially scary is the staked balance. These are people just holding trunk. What if there's a run on the bank? Okay, so we have 11. There's of the 14.5 million total supply of trunk, 11.2 is in staking. Everything else is in the liquidity pool. So we have to say, how much money do we have to redeem against? Well, this pancake pool has 3 million in BUSD plus the cash treasury. That's 9 million plus everything in the elephant treasury. That's 40 million versus this 11 million, right? So that's another stat that I could probably add easily, which is basically just total outstanding BUSD versus the stake balance. That ratio is important. But, realize that this is the bank, right? So this redemption price here is always, this never moved. This never moved since the inception of the platform, really. 0.99. So it's always 99 cents on the dollar, or you can do a little bit better if you go against the Pancake LP. So, but the bottom line is we have 4 times the cold hard cash that we can liquidate versus the total outstanding trunk. And that's just today. That number is only going to get bigger, just like this collateralization ratio is already in double digits.
Right.
So.
Wow. I like that explanation. Thank you very much. I mean, and so I hope that answers your question, Dee. It was a pretty in-depth explanation. So we might need to go back and listen to that a few times. So it sounds like I just had a quick question on that. Someone actually wrote. So it says on the site under there that it's 205% APR. So if you keep rolling, does your wallet ever bust, like drip as a max payout or anything like that?
No. Again, the worst case scenario for the platform is it always has to pay out 2x outstanding. And when you roll, you were paid, right? So as you roll to it's almost like as you rolling, what you're really doing, the way to think about it is that's a function of your daily payout is the best way to think about the strategy. And we'll get back to the what to do with 50K. But the way that you want to think about this is you definitely want to have some deposit goals, but overall, when you're using Stampede, you're saying, I have living expenses and things that I want to achieve. How much free cash flow do I want to have per day? And that determines how much you roll, right? And then you're going to keep on rolling. You're going to keep on servicing your certificate of deposit as well, right? You're going to, you're going to get to a point where, let's say you're making $10,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be sending that to Coinbase or whatever and converting that to fiat dollars. Your responsibility as a steward of this community is to make that more productive. So you want to look at other projects. You want to look at, maybe you do have time to get into pre-sales at some point. Hopefully you've already quit your job where you're definitely doing the job you love, versus the job that you have to, you have to go to because you have to take care of your kids and stuff. So, like for example, I'll be transparent here. I spent the last 7 days building up a Titano position. Is it sustainable? I don't know. Probably not right now, but it's still the early days. It's still going to ramp up. And I think the developer himself has said that in its current form, it's not sustainable. It's just that we're in the growth phase, right? Year 1, year 2, year 1.5,
Right.
So first 6 months of that. So I'm gonna watch, but in the meantime, for sacrificing 7 days worth of divs from drip, and a little bit from mainly from drip, and I have this growth, I have this profit, new profit center, and I can choose to take profit whenever I want, and then I'm going to be bringing it back to the bank. So you can't get lazy with your investment. You can be like, elephant's great, and elephant to the moon, and I'll just shave off an elephant and cannibalize that and throw it into Stampede and hope that the system. No, guys, there's no free lunch.
Right.
You need to have a job, or you need to have other sources of income. You got rental property. Like, here's another thing. Hey, how about if you're making $10,000 a day? How about you repair your credit? Because if you can repair your credit, you can take out loans. If you can take out loans, you can buy property. If you can buy property, you can have income out in the real world. Then you can bring that income and bring it back to the bank. Guess what? Whether you're a dentist, lawyer, realtor, whatever your profession is, doctor, teacher, you have income and you have a banking relationship. And it's better to store your money in a bank versus a mattress. Right. And we have the highest yields in banking right now. So
that's what you're saying, that we should be looking at this project as a bank and as a good, solid online bank, and not necessarily as a money generator itself, although it does generate insane returns compared to traditional financing.
Correct. Absolutely.
We should be looking at this to where we're pulling money from our other projects and putting it in here for more safer keeping, because it is backed on a stable token. That's one of my favorite things about the project, is the fact that it is a stable token, is that.
Right. And in addition, just like any good bank, guess what? We have insurance. You can thank Mark and a bunch of our larger participants, whales, for that. They simply said, we have significant funds that we want to invest, but we need more assurances. beyond just the audits and stuff like that, we have to cover all externalities. So I said, I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand the requirement. I understand the requirement, and I'll go to bat for us and get it done. And we got it done. And so we have insurance through Insurace. Not only do we have the coverage from Insurace, we have an active partnership. We'll be doing AMAs, additional marketing, all the other protocols and the audiences that those protocols garner. We're going to have equal exposure on the Insurace platform. And be like, what's this elephant money thing? And those people are coming to Elephant too.
Well, because once you've got that stable coin with some level of insurance, that helps tremendously with people wanting to continue to bring their money into this ecosystem for longer, safer keeping.
Yes.
Right. So man, listen, it was awesome getting to catch up today. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. What are some parting words and thoughts that you've got for us? We've still got really good handful of people watching this, and a whole lot more will be watching over the next few days. What do you have for parting words and thoughts?
Okay. Just quickly, the $50,000 breakup, at least 20%, 30% into Elephant. You don't want to miss out with that sort of life-changing exits that you're going to get. Treat that like Apple stock. You're in year one. The supply adjusted BTC equivalent price is still under $10. So if Elephant was 21 million supply instead of 1 quadrillion, what would the price be? Less than $10. I think around $6-7 right now is what the price is. So $6-7 Bitcoin, would you buy it? I mean, Elephant's a store of value, right? So 20-30%, rest in Stampede. Other than that, grow your team. No better place to start than with family and friends. You got to have people on the yacht with you, right?
Right.
And you don't want to be giving out. You don't want to feel like everybody around you have to give out handouts to, right? So might as well all get rich together. The other thing is, again, and it needs to be said, stressed. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. That means that it should be a comfortable investment. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. DCA. Grow your investment as the platform grows. We didn't have insurance 2 weeks ago or whatever. So as we grow, as we continue to harden the platform, build out relationships, your investment can scale. Don't feel like you have to rush in. A maximum investment of $10,000 on the Stampede side is life-changing, and you can run that on autopilot. You don't have to think about it too much. And I think for most people who have been in the space a while, who have had some success in the space, $10,000 is a lot of money. But for average investors, whatever, cap out there. Don't go crazy. Don't get a second mortgage on your house and all that stuff. We're going to grow together. If you feel like you're in that position, realize that, let's see, $1,000 worth of Elephant, first 10x, right?
Right.
A lot of people already have gone through two 10x's basically. So some people have put $1,000 in and already have $100,000 worth of Elephant.
Wow.
Right. So, and then the next one is a millionaire. So we've been running the Trilly Club, Rick Ross gift for a long time. Right. And every trillionaire is probably going to be a millionaire in not too long, if we continue on trend.
Love it. That's fantastic, and great words of advice there. Definitely don't invest more than you can lose. You're right on with my numbers that I was looking at for how I broke down my initial investment in there and what I was looking at for the bigger one as well. And so that's great to hear coming from you as well. Mikey, what do you have for parting words?
So, BC, I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting with us. Yeah, and I would love to have you back. You seem like a really cool guy. You know, you're really easy to talk to and fun to hang out with. And everyone who's watching, I have in the description a way to get invested with Elephant Money. Actually, I have not BTs. I have JC Crypto's reference his buddy ID in there, so you can get signed up with JC Crypto. And yeah, I mean, you know, it sounds like a good platform. I aped in. Of course, not financial advice, but you know, BT lines out a really good case for it, and I love that it is also a stable coin. And he's right. It's one of the best points. My biggest takeaway of this is that, unlike any coin, there's no place where you're going to look in the charts to see if this is the right time to get into to buy your trunk coin, to get into Stampede. It's just about you know, you can get any time. You know, you don't have to look for that price point. And Elephant has been growing. You know, it looks like it's doing its job. So I appreciate this platform. Thank you for putting it together, BT, and thank you for coming, and thank you, JC Crypto, for being with us as my partner in crime as we battle with Bankteller the villain. But yeah, so thank you very much, guys, and yeah, hit that outro if you can, JC. Have a fantastic day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, JC.
Hello again, and thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. As always, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research. If you're not yet invested in DRIP, we'd love to have you at Team Cryptozoa. Please see the description below on how to invest. If you're already invested in DRIP and you're not part of Team Cryptozoa, we'd love to have you anyways. It's only 1.12 DRIP invested to join. Either way, we hope you enjoy our free videos. And thank you for watching. This is Mikey with Team Cryptozoa, the best and fastest growing DRIP team. Thank you and have a fantastic day.